Medic Mind. Motivate, mentor, maximize.
Welcome to the third verbal reasoning tutorial. In this lesson, we'll look at how you can use inferences to tackle verbal reasoning questions. So, as we said in tutorial 2, the answer might not always be spelled out for you in the passage. Instead, you might have to make an inference. But other times, you can't infer too far and make a big assumption. So it is a fine skill which we'll work through step by step. A flow diagram can help us break down the different types of inferences. So have a look at this one here. We'll revisit the examples from lesson 1 in more detail to break down exactly what is going on. In some cases, as we said in lesson 1, the passage is a direct match to the statement. This is a simple true. So, remember this example from tutorial 1. WhatsApp is owned by Facebook is the statement, and the passage says, Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook, sanctioned the acquisition of WhatsApp. This is a simple match and should be a fairly easy question for you in the UCAT. In other cases, the passage might be an imperfect match, and you might have to make an inference. If there's enough information in the passage, you might infer and deduct that the answer is true. If there is not enough information, you may not be able to make an inference and have to select can't tell. So going back to an example from lesson 1, Altitude are one of the better social media management firms in the UK. The passage says Altitude has grown significantly since its launch. To date, a vast number of firms are using Altitude to boost their online marketing strategy. So, the statement says Altitude are one of the better firms. The passage doesn't directly say that, so it's not a direct match. But you can infer that the answer is true, because many firms are using Altitude and it's growing significantly. Therefore, this is an imperfect match, and you're making an inference to show that the answer is true. The third type is where you have an imperfect match, but it's too big an assumption, so the answer is can't tell. For example, Altitude is one of the best social media management firms in the UK. The passage was the same one as we saw previously, but the only change here is that it says that Altitude is the best social media firm. The small change has led to the imperfect match becoming can't tell. Before, when it said Altitude was one of the better firms, you could infer that the answer is true. But now, it says it's the best firm, and it's just too big an assumption. It doesn't say in the passage that Altitude is the best. It doesn't tell us about its rivals or the other companies in the UK market, and therefore it's can't tell. But remember to do a test to decide whether the answer will be can't tell or false. Imagine someone gave you another passage to read on the UK social media management market. Is there any possibility that the Altitude could be the best? If the answer is yes, then the answer can't be false. Because many students would straight away click false for this because it goes against what the passage says. However, the passage doesn't say that Altitude aren't the best. It just doesn't say that Altitude are the best. So therefore the answer is can't tell. And that's a really useful test to do whenever you're deciding whether to put false for an answer. If someone gave you another passage, is there any possibility at all that the answer could be true? And if there is, then you wouldn't choose false for that question. Finally, the point could have a mismatch towards the statement, and therefore the answer will be false. So going back to this example with Crandon, Crandon are the only supplier of amaroot extract left to date. The passage says, with raw materials for amaroot extract becoming scarce, customers are forced to buy them from dominant retailer Crandon, one of the very few suppliers left. So there's a mismatch here because the passage says that Crandon is one of the very few suppliers, but the statement says that Crandon is the only supplier. So let's go through some examples now. The passage shown here, UCL Medical School has become one of the most popular institutes in the UK. With recent investment in a new medical library and development of the lecture theatres, UCL is becoming a genuine dream medical school for any UK applicant. The statement says, UCL Medical School is one of the best in the UK. Again, you may wish to pause the screen to tackle this question yourself. The answer here is true. The passage said that UCL is one of the most popular medical schools and is a genuine dream for any UK applicant. Therefore, it is safe to infer that UCL is one of the best medical schools in the UK. Going back to our flowchart, this is an example of an imperfect match, but you can infer to see that it's true. It's not a perfect match because the passage doesn't say that UCL is one of the best in the UK, but you can infer using the information provided. Have a go at the second statement. UCL Medical School has improved over time. True, false, or can't tell. The answer here again is true. Similar to the last question, this is an imperfect match. The passage doesn't explicitly state that UCL has improved considerably over time, but it is very likely based on the information. The passage says UCL has become one of the most popular schools and it's becoming a genuine dream. And it says with recent investment. Therefore, it's showing that it has changed over time. And the answer can be true. The next statement. UCL Medical School is the best in the UK. True, false, or can't tell. The answer here is can't tell. Comparing it to the first question we had, which said UCL Medical School is one of the best in the UK, there's been a change. This statement is very definitive. It's saying UCL is the best, and therefore it goes too far. Yes, we can infer that UCL is one of the best medical schools in the UK, but we can't be sure that it is the best. There's no comparison to other medical schools. So the answer isn't true. So is the answer can't tell or is the answer false? Well, applying the test that we taught you, if someone gave you more information, is there any possibility that the statement could be true? And that's true, yes. If someone gave us another passage, there is a possibility that UCL Medical School is the best in the UK. So therefore we can't choose false for this, and therefore the answer is can't tell. If the passage has said, UCL is becoming a genuine dream medical school for any UK applicant, slowly catching up with Imperial, then the answer will be false here because that clearly shows that Imperial are better than UCL. But there's no explicit mention of that in the passage. So the answer is can't tell. And this is an example of an imperfect match, but there being too big an assumption, so the answer will be can't tell. And now the fourth and last example. The redevelopment of the school has been a complete success. Again, the statement goes too far. The passage has hinted at some successful points about the redevelopment, but we don't know whether there is a complete success. For example, it may have taken 6 years instead of 4 years. It could have cost an extra £5 million. We just don't know. And therefore the answer is can't tell. The key word here is complete. If the statement said the redevelopment of the school seems to have been a success or could have been a success, the answer could easily be true. However, complete success is very definitive and we don't know enough information to select true for this, and therefore the answer is can't tell. Again, applying the test, if someone gave us another passage, there is a possibility that this statement could be true, therefore we don't choose false here, we choose can't tell. And again, this is an imperfect match, but there's too big an assumption, so we have to choose can't tell.
Thank you for watching this free Medic Mind tutorial. For £30, you can unlock all 150 tutorials in our online course. The course covers 4 full days of UCAT teaching, as well as a course to help you with your personal statement and interview. You're free to ask as many questions as you'd like to our teachers, and with each tutorial you can read along using our 5 UCAT ebooks covering 500 pages of theory and questions to guide you every step of the way.